Who are your top five QBs for week 13?
So yeah, I got Patrick Mahomes number one, then Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert.
I have Mahomes, Allen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert.
Mm,
So I'm sounds like Jamar Chase is going to be back. So
yeah.
if that's the case, Lamar Jackson going against that, it's not the same Denver defense as it was earlier in the year, but that Baltimore offense is just, I don't know. It's like, it's weird. Like if he doesn't complete that long pass to Deshaun Jackson, his stat line's looking really weird last week. So yeah, he's out of my top five for now. But who are you high on?
Yeah, so I am high on Kenny Pickett. He's my QB 15 against the Falcons. I think his ECR is like QB 20.
Yep.
And he's been tapping into his rushing upside a lot more lately. He has 30 more rushing yards in 3 of the past 4 games. But he's been a bit inconsistent as a passer. So, he's only thrown for 3 passing touchdowns. He has 3 rushing scores. So, I think he's due for some positive touchdown regression. I think it was Deontay who dropped not 1, but maybe 2 touchdowns last night. So he just has yet to really put it all together for one game. So especially when it comes to rookies like him that, are raw talent, we have to kind of bank on them getting better as they get more reps and everything. So he could have it all come together this week against Falcons. So just my model loves him. And, he's going to have that high floor due to his rushing upside. I know you've been kind of on that from day one with him. But he just has too much talent around him with Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth that I can just see him erupting at some point. So I want to get on early. So he's more of a mid-range QB2. Wouldn't start him in 1 QB leagues or anything. But I think it's time to start moving up your rankings and whatnot. So he's my QB 15 to begin the week.
Yeah, I like that. I have him at QB 15 as well. What do you have as
Nice.
rushing yards? Just curious. I have 222 passing and 24 rushing right now.
Yeah, I have 210 passing yards, so you're a
Okay.
little bit more bullish than, but I have 24 rushing yards.
Yep.
But when he wants to tap into that, he can easily clear 50 rushing yards. Like I think sometimes he holds himself back a bit, but he obviously has that sort of upside. But it certainly seems at this point like he's almost a lock to clear 15. He's getting more comfortable. It reminds me of Trevor Lawrence last year. Once he got a little bit more comfortable scrambling, he just kept it up. And, I think that's going to open him up in the passing game as well. Defenses will have to keep an eye on him, prevent him from scrambling, and it could, get guys more open. So I just think, it's going to all come together on the same week eventually. So, yeah, that's why I'm pretty high on him.
Yeah, it's that time of year when we're gonna see rookies break out. We saw Garrett Wilson had a big week last week, and Jelani Woods. So it's that time of year.
Yeah.
I am finally high on Trevor Lawrence. I have him. I have him at QB7 this week, going against the Detroit Lions in a game that I expect to be pretty high scoring. Maybe even this second or third highest scoring game of the week, right behind that Chiefs Bengals game. So I have the Jaguars projected for almost 27 points, which is new for the Jags. Usually don't get them that high. So I have Trevor at QB7. He's the QB10 consensus. I have him for 252 passing yards, 17 rushing yards, and about 1.8, 1.9 total touchdowns, rushing, passing combined. So love Trevor this week against that Detroit defense.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have him QB7.
Yep.
And he's I want him to succeed. He's arguably a generational talent kind of guy. But I've been very cautious. We've yet to see him really string 2 games together, but he has. I think it's been 2 or 3 games now. He's looked great. And he finally has like a really good matchup. So hopefully he can keep it going. But we knew a breakout was coming. But yeah, he just has so much upside that it's been nice to see lately. He has, good pass catchers around him. So yeah, he's like a mid-range QB1 for me this week as well.
All right, who are you low
on? So I am low on Tua this week. He's my QB 14 against the 49ers. Arguably the Dolphins are arguably the number 1 offense in the league right now. And he's had some really easy matchups of late. He faced the Texans, Browns, Bears, and Lions, oh my, in his past 4 games. So, now he has a tough test against 49ers. And, I think he'll still do good, but their team total is only 21.5. 20 teams have a higher team total than Dolphins this week. So that's obviously we have to project his touchdown odds a bit lower. He might still get there with yards, but just we have to factor in the matchup here. And the 49ers defense is playing lights out. So I'm downgrading him to QB 14. I would still start him. If you have him, you're starting him, but you just have to lower expectations. Tyreek Hill got banged up and left the game. I'm assuming that was mainly due to the blowout. I haven't seen him, like missing practice or anything yet, but that's something to keep an eye out for. I'm assuming he'll play. And again, I think Tua, they'll still throw it. They'll probably get the yards, but I'm not banking on 2 or 3 touchdowns here. So we just have to lower expectations this week.
It's an interesting matchup because, for the Dolphin receivers, they might have to get the ball out super quick because both of their tackles got hurt in that game as well. So, Tua was already getting the ball out super quick. So, yeah, but their top 2 running backs are also hurt. So, we don't know who's going to play or how it's going to look. So that it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not QB 14. I'm QB 8 for now, but I might have to lower that depending on what happens as the week progresses.
Yeah, I think Armstead is already ruled out.
Yeah.
McDaniel said he might return this season, so I'm assuming he's out this week. So yeah, that against his D line, that could be massive.
I am low on Kirk Cousins this week. Have him at QB 17, and he's the QB 13 in consensus. And this is Jets defense. I do not mess around with this Jets defense. I think if you look at teams that have the recipe to slow down the Vikings, I think the Jets are right there at the top of the list. They can get pressure with a 4-man rush, and then they have those 2 great corners on the outside that you need. And obviously Justin Jefferson is going to get his. I'm not saying Sauce Gardner is going to shut him down or anything, but compared to most weeks, this is just a really tough matchup for Cousins. And, we've seen kind of it go both ways, against that Patriots defense that, looked pretty good, but probably was a little overrated just because it had, they played such weak competition. He looked good, but against the Dallas defense that can get pressure, he did not. So, this Jets team, I think their defense is for real. I think they're going to have to probably try to keep it on the ground a little bit more, not have Cousins just launching it into Gardner and Reed all day and getting lit up. So I'm down on Cousins this week.
That makes a ton of sense. But realistically, he could just throw it up to Justin Jefferson.
I know.
I guess anybody will be fine. Plus, the Jets offense has some life now with Mike White under center, so it could turn into a shootout. If Zach Wilson were under center, maybe the Vikings could just lean on the running game, it'd be fine. But this could turn into a shootout now that there is some life in the passing attack. But I hear you. I have Kirk closer to QB 13, QB 14, so I'm closer to consensus. But really, that whole range is really close this week. I have 6 or 8 quarterbacks all within 0.2 right there. So it's going to be quite a week for streaming quarterbacks this week.
Yeah, Kirk is it's been a weird year for Kirk. He's only averaging 10.3 yards per completion. So it's taken a lot this year. Even with Justin Jefferson to get his yards. So I'm a little skeptical, but what are we doing for the prop?
Let's go with Tua. How many yards will he throw for this week against the 49ers? I'm going to go with, what was our record last week?
So I went 1-1. You went I went 1-1 with props. You went 0-2. So we are both, we're essentially tied, except you had one bet that that didn't get action. So at some point I need to give you a second, more to catch you up, but we're essentially tied.
All right, I need to make up lost ground here, so I'm going to come up with a super sharp line. I'm going to go with 270.5 yards.
For Tua?
Yeah.
I'm going over. I have it in the 290s still.
Okay, all right.
I just think this 49er team, it's, you've mentioned that the Dolphins have had some good matchups, and, that kind of this 49er team, I think, is going to be able to score in Miami too. So I even if it's a trailing game script, I think Tua is going to get his yards. Maybe the touchdowns aren't there. Maybe he turns it over. But backfield banged up too. I still think they rely on that passing game, just a quick passing game. But I'm going to go over with that. Tua is not going to lead the game
that
over
makes
this
sense.
time. I hope.
Yeah, I think teams like the 49ers and Packers are really good at keeping the ball away from the other team, so it can lower like the overall play volume. So that's one of the things I'm factoring in. But yeah, no, it's a tough prop to set. Honestly, that's what I want to throw out there. But I didn't realize we were going to be 20 yards apart on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I've had Tua's passing yards pretty high this whole year.
Yeah,
because once I kind of like just went away from my prior, which was so low because last year it's a totally different offense. So even with factoring in the Niner defense, and I only have the Dolphins running about 61 plays. I still have it over. So we'll see.